Howdy folks, and I hope you're all pondering the question of the ages wherever you are in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Grail or Fail. For the newbies out there, Grail or Fail is where we revisit an action figure or statue widely considered to be a classic and find out if it's still worthy of that Grail status today. So, going under the microscope today, it's Golf Studio's take on the Engineer. Well, it's Golf Studios and WAT SD as well, but I'll explain that in a little bit more detail later. And yeah, it's their take on the Engineer from Ridley Scott's second Alien movie, Prometheus, released back in 2012. Now this piece, to give it its full title, is actually called The Sacrifice, which I'm going to assume is from the opening sequence to the movie, where a lone engineer consumes the black goo and sacrifices himself in order to seed the Earth. Usual format, folks. We will get up close and personal with the Engineer, then it'll be verdict time, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But as always, before we dive in, I would like to send the usual LV223 size shout out to everyone who supported the channel. And please drop a like and hype on this video, as it helps other people find Go Figure. And if you haven't already, be sure to mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the statue and action figure goodness that we've got coming up. So, Golf Studios, based out of Bangkok in Thailand, they are known for sort of making one-off and limited run statues and pieces around the Alien and Predator universe. And as I mentioned before, I think it is WAT SD who actually handle the paint applications on this particular piece. But that's enough about its background. Let's get up close and personal, let's dive in and find out if the Engineer is a Grail or a Fail. Okay folks, just before we get up close and personal with the Engineer, a couple of things worth mentioning at this point. Firstly, it's sort of the provenance of this thing, it's a bit of the background on it. Now, Golf Studios are known for their sort of one-off pieces or their limited runs. They're based out of Bangkok in Thailand. And this piece itself was commissioned for an individual. I believe there was a limited run of the actual base Engineer figure itself, then it was painted, I believe, by WAT SD and then sent on to its owner in Australia. He hung on to it for a while, and then it was passed on to a UK collector, and I got it from that UK collector. The cowl here, and this is quite an interesting story. The cowl itself was actually made by the original owner's mum and didn't come with the piece itself, but we'll take a look at that in a bit more detail. Also as well, regulars to the channel will probably notice the size of this guy. It is absolutely huge, even in quarter scale terms. Now, your average quarter scale figure comes in at around about, I believe it's about 17 inches tall, but this thing without the base measures at 22 inches in height, and then you add the 6 inches of the base as well, and you've got a total of about 28 inches on this piece. It is massive, but that is in keeping with the scale and the proportions of the Engineer and their size on screen. So yeah, that's the enormous proportions of this guy. But let's talk a little bit about this cape. Now, as I mentioned, this cowl cape was made by the original owner's mum, and a good job she did too. It's the material matches quite well with the cowls that the Engineers wear in Prometheus. Basic stitching on the bottom there, it's got a turn up there, and the length, the proportions are absolutely on point. The material is very good, and if you come up to the top here, you can see the cowl section fits really, really well. Now that is because there are wires in this cowl section, so it hugs the head really, really well, and then there's this sort of tie at the front as well. So I say very well done to the previous owner's mum for the work they did on the cowl here. But this piece really comes to life when there is no cowl on there and you can see the full body and the paintwork. So we will cut to uncowled Engineer. Okay folks, so Engineer and cowl. Let's start with that base, that enormous base that comes with this particular figure. And it is huge. I say figure, it's a statue. But I mean, what they've gone for here, Golf Studios, is sort of a representation of the waterfall from the opening sequence of the movie, where he stands on top of the waterfall and tumbles in it after consuming the black goo. I really do like what they've done here. I think it's as a sort of artistic rendition of that waterfall. I think they've done a cracking job. Now this is all polished stone, this base, as is the figure itself. Now I believe this feels hollow to me. It doesn't feel like one solid piece of polished stone, but it's still got an enormous amount of heft to it. And what you've got going on here are the rocks to represent the waterfall, and there's the platform on the top where the figure is stood. There's one steel section that slots into the top of the base, and the other foot is freestanding. Yeah, they've attempted to recreate that waterfall look, and I think they've done quite a good job here. Rocks are really, really nicely done, and then in between those rocks you've got this sort of clear coating to give it that wet look. There's multiple shades of paint on the rocks themselves to give them that depth and texture, and then you've got the water itself. Now, it's I suppose if I was going to level one criticism at this base, that water can look a little bit off. I would prefer it to have some more blues in there. They've gone for the whites, which are great for sort of indicating foam and a movement in the water itself, but I would have perhaps been tempted to put a little bit more blue in there, because it can look, to my eye anyway, can look a little bit like white liquid as opposed to water. But overall, I think the effect's very, very good at capturing that motion of the water with the sculpt in there, and then it's breaking around these rocks here and then reforming underneath. And if we spin this guy around, and he is a hefty chap, you can see those water effects are continued around the sides as well. There's more of that sort of rock outcrop effect, more of those wet coatings there to give it that wet look, and we've also got to break down the back as well of the waterfall. Now, to be honest, I actually prefer the break down the back. I think this is a little bit more convincing to me. That's probably because you can actually see where the water is landing here at the bottom, and I think that just gives it more sense of realism, as does the break over this rock outcrop at the back as well. But overall, yeah, I think it's a great rendition, an artistic interpretation of the waterfall from the opening of the movie. I think it suits the figure as well. It's not too much, not too little. However, due to its absolutely huge size and the height that it adds to the statue itself, it really does mean that this thing demands its own particular place in the collection on its own. But yeah, so that's the base. Let's move up to the actual engineer himself. I'll bring this guy in now. Lighting this is no easy feat because he is so huge, but let's start at the bottom and work our way up. Well, let's talk about the musculature and the proportions now. Overall, and I've got to say as well, this is one of Mrs. Go Figure's personal favourite pieces in the collection, if not her favourite. She prefers the uncowl look, and I tend to agree with her on this one, because I think as good as that cowl is, you lose some of the impressive nature of the overall sculpt and musculature of this piece, and also that amazing paint application. With those feet there, you've got those hints of purple going on in there, shaded into the toes, and there are hues of purple and pinks within this paint application as well. But as you can see there, that the muscularity of the engineer is captured really, really well in those enormous calf sections, those enormous thigh sections, and those knee sections. And overall, great sculpt. And let's talk about the paint applications on here. Now, this is obviously meant to represent the engineer sort of mid-transformation, and I think it's a bit of artistic license here, because he'd already fallen when he'd sort of reached this level of disintegration, so shall we say. Yeah, I think what WAT SD did here was to go for that sort of mid-transformation look, rather than just matte paint applications all over. And I think particularly around the back here, and I'll swing him around so you can see this, I think the back of this figure, this statue, is particularly impressive with that paint application. We're getting close here so you can see them, and there's almost like thread veins and wires underneath the skin. You can see the black corruption spreading through his body, particularly in the calf and the thigh areas there. And just the level of detailing, even in those sections that haven't started to transform, you can see veins in blues and pinks. There's yellows in there, greens, and lots of different shades of black to indicate the black goo altering his DNA. Flipping back round to the front so we can take a look at these I was going to call it the shorts, but it's not really. It's more of a sort of material wrap that he wears around his waist. He drops the robe, and this is all he's got on in the movie. And I think what Golf Studios have done here on this particular section is excellent. It's very, very good indeed. And it's very, very simple. It's just sculpted to look like material. The paint in the crease sections is really good to accentuate those details and give it that material look. And you've almost got a sort of a frayed edge along the bottom section here where it meets the thigh, which just looks absolutely phenomenal. And we'll spin him round again so you can see this from the back, because as I say, this is one of those figures that if I had a heavy duty enough turntable, I would have this on a turntable spinning, because the detailing around the back is just as impressive as the detailing at the front here. And that's continued up into this enormous back area and this back section. And I'm going to have to stand up for this so you can really see the detailing in here. Now, once again, you've got those huge muscles from those lats and those traps, those neck muscles there, and the entire back is covered with the corruption taking over, and just in between all the musculature, that recessed spine area there, up to the back of the neck and across the shoulder blades, and it's pretty much continued all over the back area. Whereas on the front, it's a little bit more sparing. But we'll bring him back round again so we can see the front section. Now it spreads down the arms, and probably the hand is about the only area where we don't really see any of that corruption, and that's painted in very similar fashion to the feet there. You've got those pinks and purple hues there. The fingernails are picked out if the light's catching this, and that's the same with the other arm. Now let's talk about the pose they've gone for here. I really, really like this sort of neutral pose with him holding the cup of black goo. If I could level another complaint on top of those water effects at the front of the base, perhaps being ever so slightly better painted, it's the angle at which the head tilts on this one. Now, if I'm getting close, you can see what I mean. I'll just pull back from this position, and you can see that he's actually looking off and up to the left. Now, I wasn't 100% certain about this angle, and I'm still not today, to be honest with you. I think I would probably prefer it if that head was just dropped ever so slightly and looking more forward. But maybe I'm splitting hairs, and it most certainly isn't a deal breaker for me. But yeah, it's just probably something I would touch on improving a little bit. But down the abdomen section, you picked out that incredible musculature there in the sculpt. And the chest section has continued with those sort of pink and purple thread veins that then gradually merge into the deeper and darker levels of the goo taking over in the shoulder area. The face itself, now I'll try and get a decent angle on this so you can take this in. I think it's very, very well done. Is it perfect? No. Perhaps the paint applications here could be ever so slightly lighter. But once again, I'm probably splitting hairs here. I think overall, it's unmistakably an engineer, and what they have captured in this face is a sort of what's the word I'm looking for? A wistfulness, a resignation almost to his fate. And although the cup of black goo is still gripping it, so the continuity there might be slightly off between has he drunk it, hasn't he drunk it. He obviously has if you look at his body, but yeah, there's an almost lonely, lost resignation in that face as to the fate and his fate. But overall, paint applications are excellent as those black sections spread up through the neck, over the ears. You've got those black eyes, completely black eyes, which actually suit the piece really, really well, and the shape and sculpt on there with that no bridge nose, that Roman nose running down the face, just I think are absolutely excellent. As I say though, maybe I might alter that head angle ever so slightly. And what Golf Studios have given us as well is this little container of black goo, if I can get him to release it. And this is excuse me, this is very, very straightforward. There's nothing particularly fancy here, but it's just the subtle details that make this. It's that gold band that's been painted around the side of the cup, The contents of the cup itself, very, very well done if the light's catching this, and it captures that sort of bubbling, breaking effect that you see in the movie. Pop that back in his hand, and it fits snugly into his hand there, so you can have him holding it. And so there you have it, folks. That is Golf Studio's take on the engineer from Prometheus. So time to go in for a final verdict on this guy. So it's verdict time on Golf Studio's take on the engineer from Prometheus. And like the movie, I think what we're looking at here is a bit of a flawed masterpiece. I am a fan, a closet fan of Prometheus. I know a lot of people out there didn't like it, but I think it's, as I say, a bit of a flawed masterpiece, as is this piece. But we will start with the good stuff first. Let's start with that base. I love the concept of it. I believe it was Iceland that Ridley Scott chose to represent the surface of the planet. And I think they've captured that, stylized it, conceptualized it really, really well, with the water flowing down there. There's the rocks, and the whole thing just kicks the piece off really, really well. And then there's the engineer himself. I think the proportions are excellent. I like the pose that they've gone for. The paint applications are absolutely superb. There is, as I mentioned before, a bit of a lack of continuity from the pose to the actual paint itself, in as much as he hasn't drunk the goo if you pose it with the cup, but he's obviously feeling the after effects of it in the paint applications. But we'll put that to one side. So yeah, the pose is great, the sculpt is fantastic, the musculature's there, the paint applications are great. Downsides to this piece. As I mentioned before there, I would have perhaps done the paint applications on the water slightly differently to give it a little bit more depth and realism. I still am not 100% certain about the angle of that head. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit more down and a little bit more centralized, but it doesn't ruin it for me. As I said, it's not a deal breaker. There are certain areas of the body, we didn't mention this before, the traps and so on, which are slightly enlarged. So in some areas the proportions are ever so slightly out. Yeah, that angled head is perhaps not entirely perfect to me, but these are minor things. I still think it is an absolutely amazing centerpiece. I think it has an atmosphere, an air that is quite unique in the collection. It sits on its own. It doesn't get displayed with anything else. It has its own unique plinth and place. I think it deserves that. And it just has character and as I mentioned before, almost a sadness to it, which actually you can feel coming off this beach, which is very, very rare, I think, in quarter scale statues, particularly to get that unique feel that comes from it, if that makes any sense. And that's what makes it one of my favorite quarter scale statues, and Mrs. Go Figure's absolutely favorite quarter scale statue. But is it a Grail? That's a tough one. I think it's a unique piece. I think finding one like this there are only a few like this out there. I personally, I'm going to call it a Grail with reservations. I'm not going to call it a frail, and regulars to the channel will know what that is. That's something that's neither a Grail or a fail. This most certainly is a Grail, but a Grail with reservations. There are certain aspects to it which I think could be ever so slightly improved. However, I think it is unique, it's beautiful, amazing, and I absolutely love it, and it's getting a thumbs up Grail from me. If you've never encountered Golf Studios before, I'll drop a link to their Facebook page in the description below. They do some quite unique stuff, and it really is worth having a look around. I think that they have a unique way of approaching the subject matter. They pick unique pieces, and also they have unique paint applications. I can almost now, even though this is my only Golf Studios piece, I can almost instantaneously tell a Golf Studios statue or piece when I see it. And they've also done some work with XM Studios as well, and as regulars to the channel will know, I have their quarter scale alien nest statue, which is a mammoth piece, and if you wanted to check that out, see a review for that, check out the homepage. There's a review for it on there, and their close work with them as well. They have a unique look and a unique feel to them, which I absolutely love. So there you have it, folks. That's Golf Studio's take on the Engineer, or the Sacrifice as it's called, and an absolute thumbs up Grail from Mr. Go Figure. But what are your thoughts on this piece? Do you have any quarter scale statues in your collection? What do you think of this one? Do you have any Golf Studio's other work? What are your thoughts on Prometheus, the movie? What are your thoughts on anything at all? Nothing is off menu, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. And what have we got coming up on the channel? Well, we've got loads more episodes of Grail or Fail. We've got more previews. We've got more 6-scale figure reviews, quarter scale statue reviews, quarter scale action figure reviews. We've got stuff from Hot Toys, InArt, Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, Exo6, Iconic Studios, the list goes on. So as I mentioned at the top there, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the good stuff when it comes up. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching, as always, from myself, from the Engineer. Take care of yourselves, and until next time on the channel, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.